Welcome to podcast number 2. I am your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and this is Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. Thank you for joining today. I'm really excited about this podcast today. The first podcast that we did, it was a few days ago. We recorded it. It was the first time we'd ever done a podcast, and I didn't know what to expect. I've always been the guest on podcasts, so I would just show up, and the questions would be fired at me, and I could answer them like no problem. But to host a podcast and to set the tone, it's a whole different experience, but I got that first one under my belt. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. And I want, I asked myself, okay, with this podcast, what mood do I want to set with the different topics that I bring every week? And I want people to listen to this podcast and get excited, get enlightened, inspired, motivated, all the things. Because I want you to listen to my conversations with the guests that I have on the show each time and really soak up what we have to say. And even if you don't agree with our opinions or views or whatever, I think that each person is going to come with such value that, or at least they've brought such value to my life, and I've been excited to share that. And so the person that I have on with me today, who will be on a lot of episodes, is my mother. My mother, who is my best friend, my mentor. I can't say enough about my mother. She is the first person who I was like, okay, I've got to get my mother on this podcast. I've been speaking about my mother on my social media platforms forever. But she's never really had a voice, and this platform, being on a podcast, can finally be a place that I can really showcase, that I can really, expand on what I kind of on the surface say about my mother. Now we can really get deeper into some of these topics. Now, last night I left my office. So I own Devotion Nutrition. I am the sole owner with my mother. My mother is actually, which a lot of people don't know, I don't know, Mom, I would say you're my partner, but I'm the operating partner. I do, this is kind of, my mom is like my supporting partner as far as she is supporting my vision, my dream, all of that. And when I brought her my idea, she was the biggest cheerleader to say, look, you've been talking about this for years, or, you keep talking about a business and things that the stuff that you think would be helpful to other women. It's like, go for it. Go for it. I remember you said to me, if you don't do it, Dana, someone else will. Just go for it. And that was really, as soon as you said that, it was like the blessing. It was like all the motivation that I needed. And the reason why Mom has not... look, I'm 43, my mom is 70. The reason why Mom isn't necessarily the operating partner is because you already grew your business. You did, right. You put in your time, you built your empire, so to speak. And so when it came time for me to do devotion, you supported me, but you were like, okay, I've been there, done that. I'll be there for you. I will guide you as much as I can in your whole thing. But what I think, what I've spoken about is, you are an entrepreneur. The reason why I was able to do devotion, let's back this up.
Okay.
Is because you started a business, with my father, over 30 years ago when I was 12 years old. So it's like 33 years ago now. Or actually 34 years ago, you started a business from the ground up. And to back up with your story, and so that we don't have to go over every single detail, but basically you started from ground zero with your story. You were born into a family that it's like you guys weren't poor, you weren't rich, you were comfortable, and Grandpa owned a furniture store. It was, I call it humble beginnings. It was, you had what you needed. You were raised with love, all of those things, but you had bigger dreams and aspirations. and for yourself, what you wanted to do, what you wanted out of life. And your story is truly remarkable. I'm able to do what I'm doing today because you paved the way for me to be able to be doing what I'm doing. So that's something that like I always make sure that on all my platforms when I speak about my journey, it's like when people say like, yeah, I started devotion from ground zero, meaning like, no, I first of all, I didn't have a name. I'm not like some celebrity who just launched a line. I was a real woman with a real problem. I wanted to make a real solution, and I launched a brand. And, I was able to do that because the resources were at my fingertips as far as, all right.
I want people to understand we're not talking about financial resources necessarily.
Right. Right. No, we're talking about, okay, so let's
now,
clear this up.
Of generalizing, let's
get into the details. Mm-hmm. Now, the details of this, my parents own the second largest privately owned flavor manufacturers basically in the world. They started it from scratch.
Right. Going back, I went to University of Florida, got a degree in food science, worked in product development at Lipton and other places. Dana's father also went to college and became a flavor salesman and had background in flavors. So together, we started our own company out of necessity, something that happened in business, and we decided we'd start our own.
Yeah.
Which was unheard of.
It was unheard of. And you guys, and let me tell you, I mean, like I said, I remember because I was, I believe, 11 when they actually made the decision to establish their own company, go into business. I mean, with all the savings they had in the world, you guys did not take any.
No, we had no loans. We didn't borrow money. Joey and I each owned the company. We did it ourselves. Yeah.
And now before that, my memories of growing up until the time that you guys launched the company was, we were, again, like I was like you, where we were comfortable, and you guys, it wasn't like we were poor or homeless or on the street. Where it wasn't like that. You both, both of my parents were educated people. My father worked for a flavoring company. He was a salesman, and then you wore many hats as far as you guys sold real estate. You got your real estate license. You did construction. You're a food scientist.
Sewed.
You sewed to make money. I mean, there wasn't anything my mother wasn't doing, wasn't really the word hustling. It's like, she was really just, I mean, you were up all hours of the night faux finishing furniture in our garage. I saw...
Oh, God, mowing the lawn, polishing the car.
Doing everything yourself. You weren't hiring a person to do anything. I mean, she was, my mom was the mom pushing the big lawnmower, she's 5 foot, 100 pounds, and she's pushing a lawnmower. She's edging. She is making the curtains for our house. She is cooking healthy meals and things she's managing my brother and I, packing the lunches, making the Halloween costumes, sewing the costume. I mean, this was super mom over here. And not only, she wasn't a stay-at-home mom, so she's also working jobs. I remember you went to real estate. You went to real estate school to get your real estate license to sell houses. I mean, you were doing whatever it took to.
All right. So in the meantime, though, I was saving money.
You were saving money.
Okay. That's another thing that's important.
Yep.
Is that I was raised to always save and invest my money. And I did that. So even though I had money, I didn't spend it. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't buy a lot of clothes.
No.
Like you said, I made my own drapes. Whatever, I ironed Joey's shirts.
We rarely ever went out to eat.
We didn't vacation.
It was exciting. We did not do fancy dinners with the family. We did not. I don't care if it was somebody's birthday. You made the birthday dinner. You'd say, what birthday dinner would you like? I think I picked steak, potato, and Caesar salad was like my special birthday dinner every year. But other than that, it's like I don't remember. We didn't go out to dinners. I mean, if we had something fun on a Friday, we'd go out for a slice of pizza and something like that at Buono's Pizza. Like that was like the
goal
big...
was to save our money and invest it and have this good foundation.
Yep.
So then when Joey and I decided to start our business, we had our saved money that we used to start this business. And then again, we didn't borrow money So we weren't making payments. We were just letting it, as you always say, organically grow. And that's how we built it. And then started with the two of us, and then other people joined in.
So I was just starting junior high.
But Dana, you and David were there for the whole growth from the start, and they helped, just like Dana's children help her in her business. Dana and Dave, Dana's brother, were part of our business. They've always been part of it.
And I was really a product of whether my parents were doing it intentionally or not, that whole like saying that people that lead by example for your kids. I was watching two people grow a business from the ground up. Also, like I was telling you, the type of mother my mom was. So you really weren't letting the ball drop anywhere.
No, because I'm thinking I was still working out. I was still eating healthy.
Yep.
Fitting it all in.
There was
no extra time. First of all, nobody was on their cell phone. We didn't even have them.
No.
So
you never watch TV. You're not watching Netflix.
No,
you're not doing any of that. You're just
No, I just took
every
care
waking
of
moment of your
my family
time
and
was
the
either
business.
Was dedicated to your business, to your family, to your home, to yourself, and you also did not have much of a social life.
No, we had no social life.
Okay, I didn't want to sugarcoat that. I didn't want to make you sound like a total loser.
But we were.
But we didn't have. There was no friends. You weren't going out to dinner with couples. There wasn't a country club. There wasn't. No, it was just. Go to work, build your business, do your kids. Like, that's what it was.
It's funny. I say that life isn't for everybody.
It's not.
Everybody can't do it.
No.
But that's what we did.
No, and you guys.
We had a goal, and that's what we did. And I have to say, those were good times. I mean, we really enjoyed it. It was fun.
We also had no drama in our life because the saying I always say is like blinders on. You guys were building a company, the blinders were on, and the priorities were all falling where they needed to. And so going out to dinner with a couple, doing whatever, you weren't having lunch or coffee with the women from the school. No, you were building your company.
Yeah, that was our life.
That was your life.
Yeah. But it was fun, and it was good for Joey and I because we got to talk about our business all the time. And we were always there to handle everything together, whether it was late at night or on the weekend.
Right.
We could rely on each other to do whatever needed to be done.
Right.
There were no set hours.
And to explain to you guys what my family's business is, so it's flavor manufacturing, product development. They're a flavor house, which means they have a flavorist, so they are making flavors from scratch. This is not where they're like buying strawberry flavor. And it's so funny because growing up, I can remember a few things. First of all, when people would say, well, what do your parents do or whatever, and I'd say, oh, they make flavors. People would like look at me because, usually you'd say, oh, my dad is a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. No, I'd like sell flavors. What the heck do you mean? Like I've never, people don't, that's not something that's very common. And then the other thing is like when my parents would come home, especially my dad would come home, and if he's a flavor salesman, he'd always wear a suit. It's like he brought this strong smell. It wasn't cologne. It was like a strong smell of flavors. My dad always smelled like whatever flavor was being produced. And it was just, and it's so fun. It's like a nostalgic thing. Like, I'm like, there wasn't like, oh, my dad wore a Polo Sport. It was like, no, my dad smelled like cherries, And so, that was, and so, it was a different path that you guys went on as far as flavor manufacturing, but the company itself started with you guys renting 3 little rooms in Kenilworth, New Jersey. Yep. And I can remember going with you guys because just like I have to oftentimes drag my kids along to do devotion stuff or whatever, on the weekends they're working and they're not leaving us home alone. So we had to go over and they had 2 filing cabinets with a door as a desk on top, and like just really humble beginnings, renting out 3 rooms in a hallway where each one was locked separately, and they had like a shipping room, a little lab with like just a little lab.
The lab was the size of this office.
Yeah, I mean it was, and I remember I'd say like, oh, can you guys give me something to do? And they give me a beaker full of coffee flavor because you guys sell concentrated coffee bean, where you to roasters.
Right.
And so I remember I'd get like, a what's it called? Like a French vanilla flavor. And I'd just sit with the little bottles and I'd fill the bottles and then I would label them. And then you guys would send samples to coffee roasters, but you would give me the jobs that I could handle. And I took pride in that. I always,
your brother put the stickers on the cap.
Yeah, we put the stickers on the cap, and it was a real family, business. It was a real little start. Like it was like this, like real startup situation, and I can remember it in my head. And now to see what it's grown to 33 years later is mind blowing. When I go up to New Jersey and we walk through the buildings, now there's like hundreds of thousands of square feet and over 200 employees plus, and manufacturing labs, top food chemists in the country. It's a really crazy experience for me in my head to have seen that company grow from the ground up. It's very, you walk through and you half the time you're like, it's like, and the funny part is you think back and it's like, oh my God, the thought of ever having to do that again. Like, oh, could you do it again if you had to? It's like,
no.
Oh God, no. I think that about devotion. It's like if I had it right now, you were like, okay, Dana, start a brand from the ground up. Okay.
Dane, it's kind of funny when going back to saying what I've done to help you. You got used to business because your parents did business.
Yeah.
But your business, besides it, it's different than what we do, because you make a finished product and sell it. We don't. We're behind the scenes. But the other thing is you're in the era of social media.
Yes.
And you sell most of your product using social media.
Yes.
So I always felt like I can't help you. You know way more about social media than I do.
Right.
You're good at speaking easily. I'm not. Mm-hmm. Look, let's face it. I have my strengths. That's not one of them.
Yeah. No,
I can, speak to anybody with a glass of wine sitting in my living room.
Well, yeah, and that's the misconception when a lot of people will say to me, like, who know me personally and they know my parents' success with their company, they'll say, well, you've had your parents, to help you, or you have whatever. And I'm like, actually, my parents' company, like my mom just mentioned, they have never brought a product to marketplace and sold it retail. So without naming the names of the companies, they make some of the biggest brands in the world. However, you'll never know that it's them making it. It's they're making the product that goes into the bottle or the can or the flavor that goes into the candy or whatever it is. And then they sell that to that company. That company is putting their label, their marketing, and they're doing the work now to sell that product.
Yeah, they do the marketing and sales.
So, and the thing is our company,
it's their brand. We're just making them the product that they've asked us for.
Yes, and our company
but we do a good job at that.
Can make the best product, the best tasting products in the world.
Right.
And it's happened many, many times, like hundreds of times, where we'll make an amazing tasting product, but if that company doesn't have the marketing skills to make it survive they'll be gone. A lot of times we go to conventions and they're there 1 year, gone the next, and brands fail all the time. All the time. There are sometimes people don't even know how many brands come in and out. And even if the product tastes good, if the marketing isn't good, the perfect storm for a brand has to come together. You have to have a great product, great marketing, the whole thing.
And the money to follow
and the
through
money.
with.
You have to have money behind a brand. It's very difficult. In fact,
especially to grow it.
Yes.
Now most people aren't as patient as you are because you never borrowed money. You just very slowly grow your business. You've been patient.
Right. Yeah, I've never taken big investor money. I've put all the money back into the company and just stayed. Yeah,
and you never give me any money.
And I never give you any money, and I don't take any money. And we've done this slow and steady. But so that's where my parents weren't able to help me.
So here, where we did help you, is that you have a place to go develop amazing products.
Yes.
That will benefit you and everybody else.
Exactly. So basically, after I gave birth to the twins and I wanted to get into the best shape of my life, one of the things we've always used is protein powders. And I went into the lab and they started making me protein that I wanted, and they started to give me protein to take home in like a big blue bag, and the lab would blend it for me. And I was competing, and I was just kind of playing around with like protein ideas, and I was making pudding. I was making protein fluff, and I was adding the pudding mix, and I was just being like creative in the kitchen with my preps and my weight loss and all that stuff. And so I did use the company as far as going in and saying, hey guys, will you give me some blueberry flavor, some this, and I was adding it to my oatmeal, and I was just taking home products and kind of playing around and seeing how it enhanced my results and my diet and my whole lifestyle. And so so the way that your company has helped me is, okay, so I had this manufacturer and I had the knowledge from working at the company as I grew up. I've always, a lot of summers and what I worked in the company in all of the areas. I've also been in sales. So I knew the process of
what we can do and what
I knew,
we could do for you.
But, you guys had never done the things that I do, like packaging and packaging design, labels, all those things that it's like, a website, selling the product, like UPC codes, like stuff that it's like, oh my God, all the front of the house, like the selling the stuff, that's a whole new ball game. And that's something I actually had to learn on my own, because I didn't go to school for that. I had to figure all of that out. And, even where to get my tubs and my labels and where to get everything printed, dealing with the co-packers. That's all stuff I've done on my own.
See, I did that for our business, but it was different things. I mean, finding truckers, and this is back when there was no computer, no Google search.
Right.
To find all these things. So it was really difficult.
Yep.
But, I had to find the bottles and the labels and the truckers.
You guys did not have the internet.
No, so...
Oh, God.
I mean, that's better for you, but still, we both did the same type of thing in building a business.
From the ground up and different. Not knowing what the heck we were doing, but just going for it.
No, and neither one of us knew what we were doing. We just did what needed to be done. As it came up.
Right. And it's like you have this mission in front of you, and it's like no matter what, like I'm going to figure out how to get there. I'm going to bob and weave and go.
Okay, along the way, you align with quality people.
Right.
Which is
and
key
who bring
to success.
Okay, so that was something that I was going to mention. So when people, it's funny, like I see all these things when people say like, oh, a self-made woman or a self whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I had you have a vision of where, a lot of people can look at you, and I always brag about you and all this stuff. I
don't do that.
No, but I give you credit because you had a vision of where you wanted to be and where you were going, and you stopped at nothing. No matter what you did, like whether it was through the flavor company or whatever, you were going to be successful because you've had that fire in your belly that never went away to be successful, raise yourself up, whatever it takes.
Okay, that's true. But in building that's on a personal level.
Right.
As far as business, yes, I knew what I wanted to do, but that I did as a team with your father.
Okay.
And I always say it took both of us.
And that's what
I'm not very involved anymore, but
not
in
only
the early
that,
days.
So not only the two of you, but meaning you're supporting the people then you brought onto your team. They have been now the ones that kind of, it's like there's always the people who have to
somebody to start
innovate, start it, have the guts to say, okay, I'm going to take my life savings. I'm going to risk everything. I have kids to support, and I'm going to start a business. It's like, oh my God, that is the scariest thing to think.
No, it's true.
Because you're not guaranteed a paycheck. You're not guaranteed anything. There's no guarantee.
Even at the time that we started our business, we offered other people who were involved with Joey in business to come into our company, be part of it, and have ownership, but they'd need to put up some money, and nobody wanted to do it.
No.
So nobody did it.
No, they thought it was too risky. It's too risky. They don't know. I mean, you're investing. When you're an entrepreneur, you're investing in yourself, your dream. You're hoping other people
Joey and I were never scared, though, because we both knew that we were hard workers and we knew what we knew.
Right. Yeah.
See, that's the thing when you go into business.
And
you have
believe
to
in yourself.
Go into something you truly know that you're knowledgeable about.
And something you and I have both said, and I've said this since I started Devotion, and you then, a lot of stuff that I've said along the way, you'll say, oh my God, that's how your father and I felt. I wake up every morning excited. I've got a passion. I've got a fire in my belly. I can't wait to dive into the next day to work on my craft, my passion, my company, my message, all the stuff. And so you said that you and Dad were like super excited too.
Oh God, we loved it. Growing the business was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And people say, was it scary? No, I never thought it was scary at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't.
Well, I
think because I guess it.
I mean, there's a risk.
It carried
There's
itself. It did
risk.
okay. Yeah. It's not like we were in debt, so that's not how we started.
Yeah.
And we stayed that way.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people are scared of not having the security. I mean, everybody.
Not everybody makes good business decisions. I always say that.
Right.
Like we didn't buy a truck. We would lease a truck until we had so much business use for a truck that it made more sense to lease a truck.
Yeah.
And then to buy a truck. It's like making those decisions along the way correctly so you don't overextend yourself and get yourself in debt.
Yeah. And I think that's why with Devotion, I have been very slow and steady. And Devotion has not been run on ego. I'm in an industry which, it's a supplement industry we started where it's like we're competing against, these supplement brands and bodybuilding brands. And it's a very male-driven industry too. And it's like the brands compete against each other and everybody wants to be the best. And especially when you go to conventions, they want the biggest booth and the top names in the industry. And everybody wants to be flashy because they want everybody to, and I was kind of like, I'm not worried about that. I've never taken a booth bigger than a 10 by 10. I don't care how well we're doing. I'm like, we're going to show up. We're going to be who we are. I don't need to show off. I have a great product. I've got a great story.
No, all we ever said about Devotion is we have to get people to taste it.
Yes. So as long as you give me a booth and I can set up a tasting, that's what I need.
No, because Devotion is unlike any other brand. It tastes terrific. There's no off taste.
Yeah.
It tastes great, and then functionally you can bake with it and do all these other crazy things. But there's no other brand that's like it. How do we know? Because we've tried them all.
Yeah. Well, that's what led us. It led us to really once we started trying making Devotion and working on the formulas and working on. As soon as we would we nailed the formula and we were like, oh my gosh! Like I was like, oh my gosh! Like this stuff.
But it's also we know it's the best quality,
right?
And we know what's in there is what we say is in there,
right? Yep. Yeah. And we actually we were using protein and which we'll do a whole episode about, but I found out that a protein that I was using was amino spiked, and I had recommended it to you and Lorraine, all my friends. And
she's talking about a brand of protein powder.
A brand of protein powder
that we were using years ago before Devotion.
Right. And so this is way before Devotion, and we were using it. We thought it was the best thing ever. It tasted delicious. And then a lawsuit came out, like a news hit, that this brand was making false label claims. They were claiming 27 grams of protein a scoop. They were amino spiking, which means they were adding a bunch of fillers and amino acids to make it look like on a nitrogen test that there was real protein in there, that the amino was a complete, protein. Turns out there was only 12 grams a scoop, and no wonder it was tearing people's stomachs up. We had a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, and I felt so violated, so upset. It was like it took the... that's when you first said you should make your own protein. And I said, I'm never trusting another freaking company again. I was so angry that I couldn't trust it because I'm like, I have my mom, it's like I'm letting my kids drink my shake. And I was like, how dare they? Like, it's a bunch of crap. And so, yeah. And then that's why I marched into the lab and I'm like, okay, we're doing our own. And then I wanted it. I didn't even...
At that time, the lab had no experience with protein powder.
No. Yeah. So I walked in and I'm like, I want a protein powder. And the lab's like,
we don't do that.
We specialize in like iced teas and
flavors,
energy drinks and all kinds of things. So yeah, that was a whole nother learning experience for the lab. But I knew what I wanted out of a protein powder. I remember like ripping apart the labels, printing all the labels to all the protein powders. And I was like, okay, I circled like, okay, I want this in it. I want that ingredient. I want this. I don't want that. I did it. And it's like, I kind of knew like, okay. And what does it have to do? It has to function. It has to be a functional protein powder. It has to bake. It has to fluff into ice cream. It has to perform, make coffee creamer. And then also I didn't want it to taste like protein. Like I wanted it.
Oh, it had to taste good
I wanted
so
it
we
to
could
taste like
use
you were
it.
eating something delicious. I hated that dairy
Ugh,
protein.
I couldn't even eat it.
Like
Some people get it down. I couldn't.
No, I couldn't. I would buy one tub after another, throw it in the garbage.
Yep.
My counters were lined with protein brands that I would buy, and I would be like, oh, this is so gross. And then I would be like, how am I going to cover this up? How am I going to get through this? I was so disappointed over and over
remember
again.
you throw all that fruit in it, and that would ruin the whole.
Oh, and then you end up, and to make it taste good, it's like, oh yeah, add a quarter cup of peanut butter, and like it's like, okay, well now you've ruined the whole point. So yeah, but anyway, so last night I actually after I left the office, I was so exhausted. I had I think I had 6 Zooms in a row of all these different companies we're aligning with and collaborations and sponsoring and all this stuff. And I was so drained, and we have so many issues, and I'm just putting out fires and questions all day. And I sat in my car and I was like, oh my gosh, I still have to go home and do laundry and clean the kitchen. And my kids are now getting, they're off from camp. They're going to be coming home soon. They're going to be getting ready for school. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And I went on TikTok and I actually I said a story where last year for the first time we hired that PR company. Mm-hmm. It was it was a woman-owned PR company, and we didn't align with them. It didn't work out. But during the time with them, I was interviewed about being a woman-owned business, and the one PR woman said to me, maybe you slant it, because it's why does it have to be woman owned? You can do everything a man does, and we should be equal, and we should be. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying. But then again, I was like, yeah, we could do everything a man does. But then again, I feel like I take on a hell of a lot. I feel like women, and look, sorry men if I offend you, but women take on a hell of a lot more than the men. And I said it last night to my boyfriend when I got home, because I told him what my TikTok was, and I was like, look, I love you, I respect you, he owns a business too. And I was like, but you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you get your coffee, you eat your breakfast, and you're out the door to the office. And meanwhile, I wake up in the morning and I'm getting the kids off to school, and I'm throwing in laundry, and I'm doing my stuff, and I've got the house stuff, and I'm paying the bills, and I'm figuring out dinner, and I'm getting I'm doing all the stuff. And I was like, and then I'm going to work all day, which is exactly what you're doing too. I'm running a company, which is the whole women-owned business thing. And then I'm getting home from work, and then I'm making the dinner, and I'm cleaning up, and I'm making sure everyone's homework's done, and we're getting the outfits for tomorrow, and we're doing all the stuff and making sure the house is, and I'm and I'm freaking exhausted. And I'm not saying that men can't, there are plenty of men out there who are capable and amazing. So I'm not but I see nothing wrong with saying woman-owned business is just saying, look, chances are this woman has had baby. Maybe she has, but I've had 3 babies, you had 2 babies, and yet you still owned a business, because not only are you managing your business, you're managing your children, you're managing your home. And then not only that, you and I, we're both divorced. My mom and dad actually ended up divorcing after 25 years. They still own the company together. I'm also divorced after 10 years. And, I don't think the relationships, didn't make it because, of our lifestyles or whatever. I think they were both relationships that we just weren't compatible from the beginning, which is fine. But saying a relationship then also needs to be nurtured. Because then I'm saying, here I am now, I've done this whole exhausting week, and then let's do a date night. And I'm supposed to be getting dolled up and looking hot and going out on a date with my husband to keep the fire alive. And so when you say woman-owned business, and people are always like, oh, why do you have to say woman-owned? It's because I'm proud to say I'm a woman. I take on a lot of stuff. I'm managing a lot of things. I'm managing employees. I'm managing a brand. I'm making big decisions at the office. I'm making big decisions. I don't just have one job that I go to. I'm a woman-owned company, which means you're wearing a lot of hats. And when I'm in my home, I'm wearing a lot of hats. I'm mom, I'm cook, I'm chauffeur.
Well, aren't we still considered a minority in
Exactly.
business?
So, that's where, so when I did that interview with her, and I was like, okay, and she's guiding me on PR. And then I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't agree with that. I'm proud to say, I'm a woman-owned business. I take on a lot. And then I said to my boyfriend last night, I'm like, look, if you want to say male-owned business, say it, whatever. But I don't know if that sounds as impressive. There's a lot of males who own businesses. And, no, he agreed with me. And he said, he was like, look, like Big Farm, all these huge companies. Look at the supplement industry that we went into as two women starting in that industry. It's a male-dominated industry. Half the time when I go to things, I feel like I'm not treated. I feel like it's a boys' club. I feel like sometimes I'm like, do they treat me the same because like I'm a woman and they really want like the big brand owners who are the big guys and the big whatever. There is a difference. I do feel the difference, even though I feel like I'm equal to them, I feel like I'm looked at differently, unfortunately. So, and I don't care. I don't need to be an equal. I don't feel like we are equal. I feel like I take on a hell of a lot, so it's fine. But anyway, you are somebody who did inspire me to take on a lot because you got stuff done, and you did not shy away from going after, whatever it was, like you said, taking care of yourself, all the things. And
no, I did all this stuff. It's just when I look back, I think I should have taken a little more time to enjoy life along the way. And that's something that I try to tell you to do too.
Yes. My mother
I feel
is
like
constantly
you're
working too much.
You work too much. I mean, it's like...
I know. Yeah, so now you yell at me that I work too much.
Even when you take time off and you come over and, okay, you're going to sit by the pool or go on the boat. Oh, you bring your laptop. So I'm trying to talk to you, but you're not even looking at me.
I know.
No, you don't even know how to relax anymore. The other day
coming
you
from
said
the woman who doesn't know how to relax. Meanwhile, I used to come over to your house and you're bent over in the garden weeding, and I'm like, Mom, and she's weeding. She's got to do her yard work. We're cut out of the same freaking fabric over here.
That's what happened.
Like, I'm thinking, like, is this the pot calling the kettle black? Like, she's telling me I don't know how to relax yet. I bet if we brought in everybody into our life.
No, I don't. I still don't
You
know
don't know how to relax either. And then even if we try it, we say, let's do a relaxing day. Then we'll say, oh, God, should we plan the whatever? And Mom's making drawings and we're going to lay out furniture and we're going to figure it out. It's like we're always on to a project. We're always doing it. Because then if we do, God forbid, we do sit at the pool,
I feel guilty.
We feel like it's like
it's actually a little boring.
It's boring, and we feel like we should be doing something and improve. You just came over. Oh, let's make the pillows for your couch, and like we're sewing and cutting and making pillows for the couch. It's like we're always doing something.
But how about what you told me the other day about you? That I said that you're so funny, and you said, "Actually, Mom, I'm not funny anymore."
Oh, yeah.
I'm so serious about work. I don't think I'm ever funny.
Yeah. No, I actually...
You used to be so funny, but you don't even have time anymore.
Yeah. I used to always be laughing and making jokes. And lately, I think when there's so much in my head going on and so much spinning with work, with the kids, with everything, that I end up just constantly focused on what I need to do, making lists, getting stuff done, that I forget to just relax and have fun and make light and make jokes. And
you don't do much anymore.
I don't. And look, it's not like but I'm working on that. As soon as but you know what I do? I always say, I recognize a problem. I identify the problem. Don't I always? I identify the problem. And you're allowed to complain. If you are complaining, you want to identify the problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then you better take action and do something about it. That's what I've always said. Like, I don't mind if people complain to me like, oh my God, I need to lose 10 pounds or I need to whatever. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? Like, are you just telling me you need to lose 10 pounds and then you're going to still go do the same thing you were doing before? Or like, are we going to take action? Right?
That's true.
We're action. I'm action. Yeah. You've always said to me, and then the other thing is you always put pressure on me. You say, if Dana says she's going to do something.
Oh, it's true. That's you, Dana. Once you put it out there to the world, you do it.
Yeah. I'm big on that.
Yes,
because I want my word.
Have empty words.
I want my word to have meaning. If I'm saying something, I'm putting it out into the universe.
Yes.
It is very rare that I will turn around unless I'm like, I rethink something and I'm like, ew, that actually isn't even a good idea. I'm not doing that. Yes. But like, for the most part, if I declare something.
That's why I don't declare anything. Even if I decide I'm going to do it, I'll do it silently. If it happens, good. If it doesn't, you didn't know about it.
Yeah, well,
that way I don't.
But sometimes if I keep it to myself, then it can just go away and nobody. But if I put it out there, I don't want people looking at me like, ugh, all she does is talk. Like, I want people to know like that she talks and she's action and she means it and she does it. And holy crap, the next time I see her,
it's the truth,
right?
Everything you say you're going to do, you do it.
Yeah, I really, and sometimes, and it doesn't happen like that.
No, you work on things.
I make lists. It's on my and I'll say, okay, I'm going to do it. Maybe not right now. Like the podcast, I've always said I want to do a podcast. The timing wasn't right, but it's on the list. It's just like, okay, it's going to happen eventually. Maybe it's not going to happen tomorrow, but let me chip away and do it. You know, a lot of times, like people say, "Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. You should do that." I'm like, okay. I'm trying. Like, so how many times, like, do people give me advice, and then I'm like, it's like my head's gonna explode half the time. One skill that I think that I've taken since college, since I worked with I don't know what you call her. She was like a therapist. She helped me kind of organize in college because I was diagnosed with ADD, but I don't really know if I don't really know. I don't believe in that. No. For me. I mean, I believe in that it is a thing, but I think I just was lacking the skills to like, I wanted to do so much, but it was like I had to figure out, okay, how do I execute all the things that I want to do, and how do I,
God, I'm surprised you didn't learn that from me. I'm good at that.
Well, I did.
I make lists and get it done.
Okay, so the list thing, and that was a big thing with this lady who I worked with in college. Remember, I stayed at Miami for a summer,
right.
And I don't know. She set me up with this planner, and
oh, that's right. You had that planner.
She got me real organized, and so I've been like a woman who lives off of lists, and I put every stupid thing on the list, even if it's dumb. Because sometimes, I mean, even if it's something as now it's a little extreme, but when the kids were babies, like taking a shower was on the list because, I was like, get in a shower at some point, like, please. But like, these days it could be something so stupid, but it's like, okay, put it on the list. Don't forget to get it done.
Yeah, I still keep lists.
I keep lists, and I make little check boxes next to it, and all through the day. And every day I start with my list, and it actually feels good because I just like get it out of my head. It's like a mental dump. So I'm not, because then people say, well, how do you work out in the morning? And I'm like, because I've already dumped my head out on paper. So then I can go get in my workout, and then I can like start the day and execute.
Did you work out today?
I did a quick 20 minutes because I was on an hour live. I did a devotion live on TikTok. And then I was a guest on a live on TikTok. And then I'm like, oh my God. And I baked loaves. I baked my protein loaves.
You make me feel guilty.
Oh, I was like on it. Yeah. I didn't walk the dog though. So somebody always suffers. But yeah, I mean, the list thing, being organized. Now, do you ever feel like you diluted yourself in any area? Or do you ever feel like, well, I guess with diluting yourself is when you start to hire help, when you start to...
Oh, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, but like, when finally you hired Liz, who's been your housekeeper for like 30 years, you finally realized like, okay, I can't...
No, you can't let everything fall apart, and you have to realize that if it makes more sense for your skills to be used efficiently doing something else, and there's somebody else who could do the other chores...
Yeah.
You have to know when to. That's another business
decision. That's been a hard thing for me to learn, even though I've seen you do it. Delegating.
Well, you've tried to get a housekeeper, but
they all
successfully
they don't work out.
One.
Yeah,
but you definitely need one.
Yeah, but delegating, even in business, I used to want to do every freaking thing for devotion.
No, you can't do that. That's not the way to grow a business.
No,
you have to know what to delegate and when to delegate it.
Yeah, and when to let go.
Right? So you can be doing other things.
Yeah,
somebody else could be doing.
Because when you're an entrepreneur, like this business is your baby, and you're so like, protective of it. You want it done right. You want it done the right way.
But you don't realize there are other capable
now
people.
I realize,
There are people you can trust.
Yeah.
The other thing is you have to know when to get rid of somebody if they're not correct.
That's true.
Don't hang on to them.
Yep.
As if there's nobody else out there.
I just had a housekeeper who was working for me. I hired her finally after 14 years. I was like, okay, I'll get a full-time housekeeper because devotion's so busy. My kids are everything. And would she last? Like maybe 3 months. I don't even know. But she didn't bring a good vibe. I mean, she was a hard worker, but I was like, I don't like the way she makes me feel. And finally it was like, okay, I had to and the second that I did, let her know that this job was no longer available to her, I felt like, good. Okay, because that wasn't right.
Right.
It wasn't right. So, yeah.
You have to be willing to admit that and let people go.
But meanwhile, here I am now again, doing all my own laundry and mopping and all the stuff again. But
you wait too long then to start looking at it.
I wait until I have a few mental breakdowns.
Yeah, and
I have to cry 16 times. You have to come over and help me fold laundry and do all the chores. And then finally I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah. But what you did for me as far as setting, leading by example, that's what I'm doing. That's what I try to do now for my kids. That's what my hopes are. And even if they're not, I didn't feel myself coming into like, oh, I'm a mini version of mom until I was very much older. Like it wasn't like, but it's like all the things I watched you do. It's kind of like with people I've been talking about with Bijou and Bodie and Bryce about, them watching me eat and work out and whatever. And then people say, well, do they do all that stuff? Like just because you're teaching it. They might not be implementing it now, but
they
they're
are
watching
dabbling in it. They are,
and they're learning, and they're seeing, and then all of a sudden, one day, when it means something to them,
yes,
they're gonna know. They're gonna know what the heck to do, and that's what it was with me. Because I even remember like keeping my room clean or doing that, like all the stuff. It was like, okay, as a kid, you don't want to do that stuff, but then all of a sudden, when I started living alone, or when I moved out, and you kept our house so nice and neat and clean and organized, and that I was like, oh, that's how I want to live. Like
I say the same thing. Because I grew up the same way. Our house was nice, neat, clean, and that wasn't naturally my nature. But when I was on my own, I knew I wanted to live like that. So
yeah,
I stepped it up and kept everything nice. And I've done it ever since.
And I truly, truly believe people function better with a clear mind when your environment, your home, your workspace is clean and neat and organized. I remember sometimes I'd feel so overwhelmed with my homework, and I'd ask you to help me with my homework. You'd come in and you'd go, oh my, your desk is a mess. There's stuff everywhere. How can you even function? How can you even, you got clutter, you got pencil. So first we'd have to clean the desk, and then we'd have a nice clean workspace, and then we would start the homework. And I
remember what I always said, Dane.
Yeah.
I always said everything needs a home.
Everything needs a home.
Because I believe that everything should have a place, and you put it back, and then when you need it, you know where it is.
That's how And so right now, I've been like a broken record like you were to my kids. Bijou drops her shoes everywhere. And I'm like, is that where our shoes go? Is that where our whatever go? Okay. And again, she's got to carry the shoes back.
It saves time.
But hopefully, just like it was hammered into my mind, that's how I live. I say to my kids, one day you're going to thank me. You're going to live in your own place, and you are going to say, oh my God, mom was right. Like we put our shoes by the door. We clean up the kitchen. We do everything nice. But right now I'm just.
You realize this is handed down for 3 generations already.
Yeah.
These ideas.
Yeah. So this is, and now and this is what I want to do for my children. So I'm just leading by example. I keep doing me, showing them.
No, and we're not unique. I mean, lots of people live like this, but some people don't.
Lots of people don't. My kids come home from play dates all the time, different houses, and they're like, Mom, their house was a mess. Oh my God, it was not organized like ours.
Your kids see the difference.
Oh,
just
they
like
see the difference. Or they'll say like, Mom, they had stuff all over their house and the laundry everywhere and their room is not clean. And I'm like, oh, okay. So when Mom yells at you to clean your room, like, do you understand why? Like, is that a good feeling to be in somebody's room and it's a total disaster? And they'll say, ugh, yeah, no, I don't like that. And like, they'll get a giggly look to their face because they don't like to be yelled at to clean their room, but they get it.
Right.
They get it. So that's with nutrition. With devotion, I have been baking with the kids and doing healthier devotion alternatives for years. I mean, I don't have anything, again, you didn't raise us you didn't never said no to anything. We were allowed to have an ice cream, but you were like at a small ice cream. So it's not like sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh, are you just like one of those moms who doesn't let their kid? No, not at all. Not at all. My kids eat plenty of real donuts and all this stuff. But I also am like, okay, guys, we don't need to do, that's a special thing. Like, you don't need to eat that every day. Let's make devotion donuts this morning. And it's a healthier alternative.
And you're teaching your kids what I used to say to you: make healthy choices most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that most of the time, I mean, yeah, I guess you taste the difference between if you're eating like a Dunkin' Donuts and a Devotion donut. No, it's not a fried, glazed, sugary donut. But is it delicious? Yes. So oftentimes I'll end up making something for my kids that's devotion, and they'll be just as satisfied. It's chocolatey. It's delicious. Bryce loves, her banana chocolate chip loaves, and she doesn't even know the difference. She thinks they're great. They're delicious. There's no protein taste. Well, because they are, but just meaning like as a kid. So I'll say like, okay, so now, but at least now she's getting fiber and she's getting, the protein, and we make with egg whites, and we always make with fresh fruit. So it's like, okay, and we're also packing in nutrients, nutrition, nutritious dense food. So yeah, I mean that's something where I feel like, okay, so maybe they prefer the Dunkin' Donut right now, but as they get older, they're going to have the tools. And my kids, I've taught them how to bake. You know, they know now how to, Bijou can make her own waffles. You know, I feel like I'm giving them the tools. And many mornings, I won't even be in the kitchen and I'll smell something coming from the kitchen. And it is Bijou making waffles for herself, because it's like, I've taken the time, I taught her how to do it.
Devotion waffles.
Devotion waffles, that's
Healthy.
what I mean. And she knows what to do, or she won't say like, Mom, what do I eat for breakfast? Like she knows her healthy options, she knows the things, and you know, now she has those tools in her toolbox. So, and same thing with working out. I mean, they dabble in working out right now. But when Bodhi finally catches the bug that he, you know, wants to put on some muscle, or if that becomes a part, it's not like he's not going to know what the heck to do. He's seen it. So the lead by example.
Oh, yeah, and your kids work out with you.
They work out with me. And even if, you know, it doesn't hold their attention for that long, they do a workout or whatever, they've had enough, fine. But I know Bodhi's going to hit that age. I mean, he hasn't really hit puberty yet, but he's going into high school. All of a sudden, it could become a priority to him. And it's not like he's going to say, oh, I don't even know where to begin. He's got the skills right there. Right. So, you know, I don't think that, because I did have somebody comment on my stuff where they did say like, okay, so is this exactly what your kids do? And it's like, well, not 100%, but the idea is to be planting the seeds, give them the foundation and the, you know, and the tools that they need to as they get older.
Right. It's not a bad example.
So let's see, Mom, what else did I want to cover with you? Now, one thing that you and I have in common, we both constantly tell each other how exhausted and tired we are. And
maybe we do too much.
And well, and so, you know, and you and I will all, you know, sometimes I'll call you and I'll go, oh my God, Mom, I'm so freaking tired. And you'll go, oh God, I am too. And then we almost feel guilty about being tired. Then we think there's something wrong with us. We always think like, well, maybe I have a deficiency. Maybe it's my whatever, you know. And then finally we'll say like, well, you know what? We do a hell of a lot. Like, are we ever allowed to just get tired? Like, you know, and so, you know, sometimes and like we said, we feel guilty about being tired if we take a rest or.
I don't know how other people function. I mean, I know my sister will sit down and read a book like on a weekend.
And relax. And
yeah.
I don't know either.
Really know how to do that.
I don't know. And we're both with men now who also work very hard and they're constantly on the go and accomplish and do. I mean, now it's like the men we're with are very much like us.
Rocky's like me. Rocky thinks there's something wrong with him because he's tired. Say,
Same
Rocky,
with Greg.
You have done so much.
Same with Greg. He's like, I'm always sore. Why do I'm always tired? Why? And I'm like, God. Are you kidding me? Like you train like you're a pro athlete still. You go to work all day from early morning, and then you get home. You run 10 miles, you know, quickly before dinner. Then you take a hot yoga class. Then you clean. He washes all the cars. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's why you're tired. It's not like we get home and we just have a martini and. Yeah. And sit by the pool and, you know, so, all right. Well, so if you're tired too, I hope this makes you feel better that maybe nothing's wrong with you. You're just doing too darn much. All right. Well,
just living life.
Yeah, exactly. So, this has been an awesome episode. I'm excited for, you know, all the topics we spoke about today. We've laid some more foundation about who we are. And obviously, you know.
I feel like we touched on a lot of different.
We did. We touched on a lot of good stuff. Yeah. So.
We weren't too all over the place, but.
No, I think
that's how we do it.
Yeah, that's how we do it. I'm just like, I'm doing like, we're calling this like a mind dump. Exactly. Like, I just want to say the stuff. And I want people to understand that if, you know, that we're just real women who have just gone after it, and we work hard, and you know we want to inspire you to do the same, and so just a little insight into our life.
Stop and enjoy your life a little.
Yeah, stop and smell the roses. And
now we are now.
Yes,
we're trying now.
You're trying. You're better than I am, but you have to yell at me, and it's okay. Just kind of slow down and And Mom, one more thing, Mom's always guilting me into hanging out with her and spending time with her. She's like, one day I won't be here and you're going to wish you spent more time with me.
You'll remember that.
She says it to me all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounded terrible. One day I'm going to be gone, and you're going to say, I wish I spent more time with Mom. So maybe you shouldn't work so much and just come over and go shopping with me or something. And it's like, oh my God. Okay, Mom, I'm coming over.
So we need to plan something.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. This was a fun episode. You're getting to know my mom a little more and a little more insight into our life and our businesses and our story. So join in next time and have a great day until it's done.